Hello, you guys. I hope you're all doing well. I thought it would be fun today to just take you along on a little digital illustration in Procreate. So, just to start off here, I'm swatching some of the brushes that I end up using, which is going to be, I'm going to put screenshots up, but 6B pencil. I do believe this is the original one, but a friend of mine actually edited the settings a little bit. But if you want something similar, I would just go with 6B pencil. And then this brush, which is called Jerry. I do not remember where I got it, but I'm gonna put up on the screen once I figure it out. And then the third brush I swatch is actually called Nyko Roll, which I actually don't end up using in this project. I thought I would, and then I just didn't. But I use it quite a bit. And technically, I also do use the Bonobo chalk brush for blending, which I will show later, but that one I think is also just in the regular Procreate section. So to start off, we are just going in with a photo of a sketch that I made in my sketchbook, and we are just going over it with the 6B pencil to get a better idea of what exactly I'm drawing. My idea for today was just to do something really chill and easy. And if you're new here, my name is Gabby. I'm a professional illustrator, graphic novelist, printmaker, drawer. I just love to make art, but lately I've been feeling a little nervous for some reason about digital art. I still do a lot of digital art for my graphic novel work, but most of the work I've been doing outside of graphic novel has been in my sketchbook or on physical paper, which is really different for me. I'm usually a digital girly through and through. So my goal for this was just to make something fun that I didn't have to think too hard about, something cute and colorful, and just get back into working in Procreate. So generally, I will go in like this with the 6B pencil to get a general idea of what exactly I want to draw. I used to do all of my sketching in Procreate, but I found lately a lot of my projects have become something that I started in my sketchbook that I ended up finishing in Procreate. I feel like working in the sketchbook makes me a little more creative and unique just because I'm confined by not being able to actually erase anything. So yeah, we're just getting in here and doing the sketch. I get asked a lot about my tech, so I am using an iPad Pro and Procreate to do this. When I was in art school, I used to use like the Wacom tablets and those types of things, and I personally just really my art changed once I started getting a tablet where I could draw directly on the screen. For some reason, I had the hardest time with the disconnect. I know some people work really well on those types of tablets, but to be honest, moving to an iPad was a game changer to me. This is my second iPad. The one I had before was much smaller and older, and I had it for probably like 6 years. So this one I actually just got last year. But yeah, I really enjoy like the process of being able to draw right on the screen, and that was a huge game changer for me. Now we are going into the line art, which I'm also just doing with a 6B pencil. I actually use 6B pencil so much. It's pretty much my go-to pencil for sketching, for inking, for painting, for everything. It's my ride or die. I'm doing my entire graphic novel in this pen, basically. I get asked a lot about the pens that I use specifically, and I am just really not very picky. A lot of people have these like custom brushes that they use, but most of what I use is either in Procreate natively or something that could easily be replicated in Procreate. But yeah, we're just going in, adding some little greenery and flowers. I wanted something that was gonna break through this anxiety I've been feeling about digital illustration. I was just like looking and trying to figure out the last digital drawing that I've done, and I do think it was like a year ago, something that was like digital from start to finish, which is so crazy because I used to be completely digital. And I definitely do still use Procreate a ton in my process, but I've been trying to push towards making stuff look more hand drawn. I feel like Procreate really exacerbates my perfectionism. It's hard for me when I have the tools to make everything perfect to not make everything perfect. So when I'm inking here, I really do try to use the undo button as little as possible. I know you can see me hitting the undo button over and over again, but sometimes it's really important just to let your line art be a little weird or draw a line weird. It makes things feel less robotic, I guess. And I wanted to mention this video is more of like an intuitive me working in Procreate how I normally would. But if you were interested in seeing a video where I really slow down and explain maybe more of a video that's like Procreate for beginners, please let me know because I would love to do something like that. Procreate is definitely my favorite drawing app at this point, and I'd love to share more. Okay, so now we are getting into coloring. I just laid down this flat blue, and you're probably looking at this and thinking, wondering why every time I touch the screen, I get a different color. This is an option that you can do in Procreate. This is one of my favorite little hacks. I do believe it's called like color stabilization. I'm going to put a screenshot of it up in the video, but basically you can change the property of a brush so that every time you touch the screen, you get a slightly different color. I think maybe it's called color jitter, but I love this when I'm laying out my flat colors. I think sometimes I have to adjust it to make sure that it's not too crazy, but just crazy enough that you get, a unique color every time you touch. But I just think it adds so much, like, it almost feels like you're coloring with a rainbow pencil. It adds a lot of unpredictability, and like I said, I'm always trying to get rid of perfectionism in my work because I think it doesn't help. So doing something like this is a really great way to make things look unplanned and sort of just add that little bit of extra of uniqueness to your drawing. I especially love the way this came out on the tree trunk. So you do have to kind of consciously make sure that you're picking up and putting the brush down over and over again. Otherwise, you won't get too much variation in your colors. But yeah, I love this for flats. It makes things look so neat. And I get asked a lot about how I color in Procreate. And I do have to say I'm kind of boring. I do just start with like intuitively laying down colors that I think would look nice in my flats section of the work. Just putting down whatever I think. I was trying to go for something that was really bright and kind of some warm, summery, just because the sun hasn't come out here yet, and I'm really wishing that it would. But yeah, just picking like these really like saturated oranges and the green on the grass that almost looks like yellowy, summery. Even though I don't use a lot of actual yellow, I feel like I'm trying to push like everything to a more yellowy tone, I suppose. And I'm notoriously bad for like picking colors that don't make sense together. And then I try to pull it all together at the end with some different blending layers, which we'll get into when we get to that part of the video. But yeah, here I'm just going in with this Jerry brush, which again, I do think it is from a non-native Procreate brush pack, but there's tons of great painting brushes in Procreate. I'm not particularly picky about what I use. This is just kind of what I end up reaching for, but you can do the color jitter with pretty much any brush in Procreate. So I highly recommend playing with that. I think in total, this drawing probably took me about an hour and a half. Again, I was just going for something quick, something that would make me feel like, oh, I made something today. I put something, I put pen to tablet and made some art because it's really hard when you're working on a graphic novel to get that sense of satisfaction just because right now I'm in the inking stage. So all I'm doing is inking and I go from page to page. Like all 220 pages I've sketched out and now I'm going to ink them and then I will color them all together. So I don't get the satisfaction of like finishing a page until I'm through the inking process and I'm into like the coloring and finishing of it all. So it can be really hard to feel like I'm actually doing anything, especially with, social media. Like I just sometimes I feel like maybe I'm not working hard enough or I don't have enough to show just because I'm working on all of these pages and I obviously can't show it because I don't want to spoil the book. But I'm used to making tons of work and then getting to share it online and build my social media following in that way. So it's kind of hard to to change my work process from that, I think. And then on top of that, it just feels weird to complain to have this job that I'm super excited about. It's hard, but I always just try to be real and meet myself where I'm at. So now we are going in and adding a multiply layer. I know the TikTok girlies tell you to never use a multiply layer with one solid color, but I personally just really like the way it looks, so I do it. And I think that's important in art to just like figure out what makes you happy to do because some people will tell you that just shading with one color on a multiply layer is not right or lazy. I feel like I've seen so much of this rendering trend on TikTok specifically, where people are saying, this is the right way to do this, and definitely don't do this when you draw. But I just love the way it looks, so I keep doing it, and I would encourage you to do the same. Whatever style of drawing makes you happy, just go right ahead and do it. Because I also think, like, at the end of the day, that thing that you're told that you're definitely not supposed to do can sometimes become something that your art is really well known for. People say this all the time, but art is just like breaking rules and bending rules and trying to figure out what does or doesn't work for you. So for me, I personally love shading with one flat color over the whole thing, especially when you use this little jitter trick I was talking about, because the multiply layer is going to pick up different colors and expand on those from that jitter on the flat line or the flat colors that we were doing. I just think it comes out really cool. I really love the way these little mushrooms came out. I feel like it's giving fairy circle, which I guess is what I ended up pushing towards the end of this, adding those extra little mushrooms to make it feel kind of circular towards the bottom. And yeah, I just wasn't I wasn't feeling especially creative this day. I was kind of down on myself and I just really wanted to make something and have it exist, you know? So I really wasn't going to try to force myself to be overly creative or push the boat out. I just wanted to draw. And at this point in my painting process, I really do just treat it like a color book. And I get so into just coloring in all these little shapes. And I love it. I just think it's really fun. Anything I can do to make this part of the process feel less like a chore and more like a coloring book that I'm having a really great time zenning out and just filling in, the better for me. Because I just don't feel like I'm very good at the coloring process. So I get nervous and I overthink it. So I try really hard just to push through that. But it's funny because I feel like it's such an individual opinion on what your favorite part of the drawing process is. Like, I know people who absolutely hate line art, and for me, that's like my favorite part of the entire process. So, let me know in the comments, what's your favorite part of making art, or if there's something that you really dread doing. I think that's kind of fun and it's a unique thing. I also wanted to ask, for all my people with iPads out there, have you ever used the like Paperlight screen protector thing? I have never used it before, but I'm watching this film back and I'm getting so tired of seeing my face reflected. I guess it's because of my sketchboard like being at an angle, because I'm trying to keep my decrepit body from getting achier the older I get. But it's like the angle of this frame is just like reflecting all the light in all my face. So I'm kind of thinking about getting one, but I'm nervous. I don't want it to like compromise the quality of the color. So if you've ever used that stuff, please like let me know what you think about it. I'm definitely new to YouTube and I'm still trying to save up and get a little bit better equipment for this channel. You can see my phone in the reflection because that's what I film on, and it's also what I record audio on. And I know that's definitely not the best, but I am saving up and I'm really hoping to improve the quality of my videos soon. I didn't want bad quality to stop me from sharing my work because I think it's important to just do something, even if you can't do it the very best. But, if you have any recommendations on stuff that you like for making videos, or if you're a video creator yourself, like I would love to hear your tips and tricks, but also be nice because I'm sensitive. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and do a highlight layer. You can see I'm taking my time here to figure out what blending mode I want the best. And if you aren't using blending modes in Procreate, I would highly encourage you to get in there and play with them. I'm not like a blending mode expert, but I just think throwing them on top of a drawing is a really great way to push it further. So you can see here, I wanted it to kind of look like filtered foresty light, like there's a bunch of leaves over top. So I was just doing these little spots of light hitting the stump and hitting the ground. And then I go ahead and add some more texture to this tree trunk. And I was kind of sitting there thinking that maybe the tree trunk looked a little bare. So I think at some point I decided to go in and add a little carving. And I also, towards the end, completely forgot that there were supposed to be ants on the ground. So I did go in and add those after this recording, because I'm super forgetful when I draw in front of a camera for some reason. And yeah, I'm just going in, putting these little fairy wings, my final little details. I feel like my drawings are so trust the process. It's really weird to watch it all like come together at the end because when I'm just doing like line art or flats, I feel like it doesn't really look like much. And then in the last like 20 minutes of working on it, I'll be like, "Oh, I know exactly what's going on and I really nailed it." So now I'm going to do one of my little another little hack that I like to do. I always get to the end of a drawing and think that it's not bright enough, so I will just go in and add a blending layer on top, usually overlay with some super duper bright blended colors with that bonobo chalk, and I just think it adds a lot of texture and a lot of extra color. So that is gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later. Bye.